Hey there, Ravens. Welcome back to another edition of Tarot Tuesday. Today is July 30th, 2019, and what a week we're in for. Today, the Mercury retrograde will be conjunct the moon one day before the new moon, which is tomorrow, on which Mercury will go direct. Yay, retrograde's finally over. I know this is always the longest 3 weeks of my life every time it comes, a sentiment which I'm sure many of you can relate to. But the aspect that I want to talk to you about actually isn't coming till Thursday, but it is a fairly potent one. So we're going to talk about the moon, as represented by the High Priestess. I really should be holding these up over here. That's better. The moon, conjunct Mars, represented by the Tower, in Leo, which is represented by strength. And so, at least as far as the cards for the aspect pole are concerned, this is going to be a week, with all this shifting that's going on as Mercury and the moon and the sun and Mars all do this strange 3-day line dance. This is going to be a week where it's really time to look inward and reevaluate our strengths, or at least our perceptions of our strengths. Are we really as strong as we want to think we are in certain relevant respects? But by the same token, also thinking about, are we as weak as we often believe we might be? So this is a really good time to make the turn inward, not just to evaluate how you feel about yourself, but also to change it. Maybe you're not being fair with respect to your weaknesses. Maybe you're not being fair with respect to your strengths either. But all these things are good to know. You're going to want this is going to be another one of those really strong, like, shadow worky aspects where you're really going to want to interrogate, who you are and how you feel about that person. Especially, with Mercury stationing direct, we're going to be in the shadow for a little while it gets going again. And, that affords us the chance to, I like to think of Mercury as the direction in which we converse, depending on which way it's moving. So, we talk forward, we talk normally when Mercury is in normal motion, and we sort of talk backwards, or, at least talk in a direction towards the past when Mercury is retrograde. But when Mercury is stationing, when Mercury is in its shadow and it's not moving very fast, if at all, this is a time when it's best to be silent. Mercury's not moving at all, and it's a pretty good indicator that there's going to be a time and place when our lips should, and other than that, maybe not. And so, it's very, very much a time of whether brief or extended. This is a really good time to make the turn inward, to do some self-evaluation, to be critical but gentle with yourself. Definitely tap into that Cancerian energy for as long as Mercury's still there. So that when it does return to Leo and you can let that light shine out again, you can let it shine out all the brighter. Now, as far as everybody's, individual cards for your sun sign, give me just a second to finish shuffling these up. Let's see what else the universe has in store for all of us. Okay, so starting with Leo, we have the Fool. Much, much better draw for you this week than last, Leo. If you didn't see it, or even if you didn't, you need the primer. You had the Nine of Swords last week. This is a much better card, or at least it feels much better. With the Fool, Leo, your my eyes are incredibly itchy. I apologize. This is a chance for you. It is, after all, your sun sign that all this is going on in, to take a strong stab at reinventing yourself. My phone alarm is not going to go off in the middle of this video. To really reinvent the self in a way that goes kind of over and above what everyone is being called to do with the energies that are in play here. You are this hatchling, this chick, this baby bird, preparing to leap off the branch and take flight for the first time again. This energy gives you, the sword of Mars, or the lightning bolt in a more standard depiction of the tower, is yours to wield, and that has its good and bad aspects, because on the one hand, it's in your hand. On the other hand, both sides of a sword are sharp. And it can as easily cut you as, the things you're trying to hack away. So, wield it judiciously, wield it responsibly, but it is yours to swing. At least, for the next few days while Mars and the Moon get ready to do what they're going to do. For Virgo, we have the Hierophant. Hierophant? However the hell you pronounce this. Interesting looking card, I think. You've got a crow and a key and a lightning bolt. At least I think it's a crow. Looks like a crow to me. For you, Virgo, I get this really strong sense of like tradition coming from this card. So what old ways are you keeping to? Not necessarily habits. This isn't the devil after all. It's something more. There's kind of an aspect of groupthink to this. This is the sort of the vibe that I'm picking up on. You're very much something that you were taught and have never really had much of a chance to question. This week is your chance to question it. And, a lot of times when it comes to the, examining the rubble after the tower collapses, you find a lot of pieces that you didn't know were there that really shouldn't have been, that sort of contributed to the collapse. This is a good chance to look at the things that maybe you've never had an opportunity to question before, or never felt much of a necessity to question before, and see if you can't draw some more meaning out of them. And if you can't, maybe it would be better to let those things fall by the wayside. For Libra, the Three of Swords. This is a... Yes, sweetie? My cat is being cute, sorry. So, Three of Swords for Libra. Not my favorite card to see. And again, not that, good can't come out of it, but it is, grief, loss, despair. For you, Libra, I get the feeling that this is a triggering event. This is the thing that makes you ask the questions that the energy of the Moon and Mars together is trying to get you to drive at. Specifically, the question that I think you need to answer, Libra, is why you take on the role of holding people up, even and especially in situations where you have trouble holding yourself up. Now, there may be very good reasons for that, and it's asking the question that is the important thing this week, but it is worth thinking about for you, I think, is why are you, Libra, always the one responsible for keeping everybody in an even emotional keel in situations where you're having trouble keeping your own head above water? Why do you take on that role? And if you don't choose to take it on, why do you allow yourself to be forced into it? Again, the answers might be perfectly valid, but these are questions worth asking. For Scorpio, We have the Wheel of Fortune. Hmm. This card has a lot to do with, generally speaking, anyway, has a lot to do with luck and chance and sort of like the inevitable turning of fate's wheel. Duh. Um, so the question for you then, Scorpio, is why? Oh, can I get this itch in my nose to stop? I guess I've been kissing a fool. Isn't that the old saying? um, why do you so readily, Scorpio, chalk up both victories and defeats to fate? You are, at least, that's the vibe I'm getting from this card, is that you're just a little too willing, Scorpio, to discount your own agency, your own authority, your own free will. Never a good thing. Why? What? So again, as long as we're doing the self inspection, this is a really important question for you to be asking. Why are you so ready to either blame or credit fate, depending on what it is that happens to you? Why don't you want to take ownership? Why don't you want to take agency? And again, as with Libra, the answers to these questions may be perfectly valid. It is asking the question that is the important thing. So, Sagittarius, the Father of Swords, King of Swords. For you, Sagittarius, this card has to do, I get the feeling that this has to do with authority and your approach to it, specifically your approach to being the authority, being the boss or in charge or what have you. The important thing about the King of Swords is that he knows when to wield the blade he's holding. And so that's sort of the vibe I'm getting is the need to ask yourself, do you know when to use the sword and when not to? And maybe it might be worth asking how you've misused it in the past in order to learn those lessons. Yeah, lots of very authoritative, logical energy emanating from this card today. For Capricorn, the Three of Wands, kind of a portals or doorways card. For whatever reason, Capricorn, I get the feeling that what this card is trying to tell me for you, is that you tend to look kind of wistfully at open doors and windows. Like, even when they're open for you, you have this tendency to go, oh, if only. And to wish that you were lucky enough to have a door or a window open for you, even when the window or door is open for you. I think you need to examine your relationship to success and to your own belief that you've achieved it or that you've given yourself the chance to achieve it. But yeah, I would definitely, especially in the face of something else I'm picking up on for this week, Capricorn, is that something is open to you. Some way is open for you. And instead of wishing that you could go through that door or climb through that window, you should go through that door or climb through that window. You've been a coiled spring long enough, and it's time to strike while the iron is hot, not least because it'll give you the chance to think about what you've let go in the past that might have served the same purpose. For Aquarius, we have the Son of Pentacles, or the Knight of Pentacles, if you like. Um, Such a slow and patient card for such a fast-moving sign. Fixed air, but still air is Aquarius, and the tepidity, the placidity, the sluggishness. There we go. That's the word. With which the energy of the Son of Pentacles moves is sort of anathema to you a little bit, even as a fixed sign, Aquarius. And the question I think that's important for you to ask yourself this week is why does it matter so much to you that your physical world is not moving at the pace that you would like it to? Um, Either a space of your own is not coming to you quickly enough, or you know you're not drawing enough material abundance to you, or as much as you would like, as quickly as you would like. And so, I think what you really want to examine this week, Aquarius, is your approach to that. Why you need it to come so quickly, why you want it to come so quickly, and why it irks you so much that it isn't. Um, hmm. No, the water on this one is kind of muddy to me. It's not one I can see all that readily, unfortunately. I wish I had something better to give you, but for Pisces, we have the Hanged Man in reverse. And this is, to me, this is a really interesting card for Pisces. Because normally, Pisces, you're one of the better signs at um, adopting new perspectives or new ways of thinking about or seeing or feeling about the world. So the question with the Hangman for you is at least twofold. It's are there points of view that you haven't considered, and or are you so concerned with adopting any other point of view that you haven't really considered your own? You I think, Pisces, maybe recently you've been a little too worried about what it's like to be a bat and not worried enough about what it's like to be a human. To draw the imagery of the card and a little bit of philosophy into it, I definitely think that it's worth thinking about, what is your perspective? And what is the value of your perspective to you, and why is it what it is? For Aries, we have the Father of Cups. Intuition. It's just all to me it screams off this card. Those of you who share my sun sign, Aries, is intuition and not whether, but why. Why don't you trust it as much as you should? Why don't you listen to that inner voice more often? Personally, I'll be honest with you, I want to be mad about this card, not least because I've been trying to do that this whole time. But yeah, so it's it's what's up with that? What's up with your approach to the voice in your gut or in your chest that is, if you're honest with yourself, is right most of the time? Why are you ignoring it? Why don't you listen to it? Why don't you tap into it a little more? You have more strength in that regard than you give yourself credit for, and you should flex that muscle every once in a while. So poke at that, particularly on Thursday. Poke at that. For Taurus, the seven of Cups. It's not just Taurus that your strength lies in making choices, although that is accurate. It's also a very kind of superficial surface level reading of this card. What I'm getting from this for you, Taurus, is that there are... How do I put this into words? You've got a much different capacity than the other people in your world, Taurus, of being insightful and critical and able to parse things out when you need to. And it's a faculty that you don't, much like I said for Aries, this is a faculty that you don't allow yourself to exercise often enough, and you should do that more. But why? That's the big question for all of us, for all 12 signs in the zodiac this week, is why? Why not X? Why not Seven of Cups? Why not Father of Cups? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? What is it about your faculty to discern among many options which is the correct one? Are you not exercising, and how come? Where in all the spaces in your world that you have to make choices is this relevant? For Gemini, the Daughter of Cups, or the Page, if you like. Whatever your preferred tarot nomenclature. I don't care. I do care, but it's not important in the present moment. With the Page of Cups, I've told you before, Gemini, that for the air signs, emotion to you is maybe the greatest stranger. That's probably, fair only as a gloss. But there is something uncomfortable for you in not knowing how to feel about a given situation. And as much as you should remember that emotions are not to be reasoned with, because duh, um, and it's more even for you than interrogating that impulse to rationalize your emotions. But it's more about being uncomfortable with unknowns. Why are you so uncomfortable about not knowing how to feel right away? Why is that so discomforting to you? It's not a question of whether it is or it isn't, because it is. This is to some degree, this is the fact of all of our lives. But why are you so uncomfortable? It's a question of degree for you, Gemini. Why are you so uncomfortable in emotional unknowns? And what can you do about that? And last but certainly not least, our dear friends in the sign of Cancer, the Eight of Swords. You are this cocoon, Cancer, or well, no, that's not even accurate. You are this butterfly. Because you can see the wings. It's not really the chrysalis is the season of the chrysalis is over for you. And so it's, the last time this card came up, I gave you the whole analogy of how like a caterpillar basically dissolves into soup inside the chrysalis before it becomes the butterfly. Soup with wings and a brain. But you are past the place somewhere where you need the chrysalis, where you need the metamorphosis, where you need the drastic radical change. You're not striking your tower down, you are emerging from its rubble, or at least you ought to be. The thing about the Eight of Swords is that clearly you're not doing it yet. You need to emerge from your rubble. You need to come out from your chrysalis and spread your wings. So why haven't you? What are you afraid of, Cancer? And why do you allow that fear to keep you from unleashing the inner lion? From tapping into that strength that you've cultivated inside this chrysalis? Well, this has been a pretty heavy reading. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, or at least that you learned something from it, and how hard it can be to enjoy anything where you're being called out constantly. But if it's resonant for you, let me know in the comments. And as always, I highly encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next week. Good luck, Ravens.